So today we are going to talk about creating a foundation of ordinary joy. Now, up until now with the classes, we had the first class where we just tuned into opening our hearts and ourselves to the ordinary joy that is actually already existing around us, here and always. It's about finding that joyful and the blissful moments within the normality of your day, in the surprising moments of your day. And within that class, we also spoke into going back to the basics, going back to the basics of, say, before you started this journey of personal development, spiritual development, tuning into self, inner healing, expanding your world and things like that, understanding self. We're going back to the basics of where when you first came in, you more than likely started looking at, well, what do I want from life? How do I actually want to feel on a day-to-day basis? Like, what do I value, and why is what I'm doing at the moment in life? There was that friction point of what you've got now, or what was alive in your life now, is it's like, but I don't want this. And you questioned everything. So that's why the going back to the basics is really important, because now that everyone here has been on this pathway for years, it's not just a blip, it's not just the start. You've been on this pathway for years. Now, if you went back to really go in and deep dive into what it is you want, you would start by, how do you actually want to feel on a moment-to-moment basis ultimately? And more than likely, that feeling sense was gonna be the same, was the same when you were 15 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50, and will be 60 to 70, and whatever age you're at, there's gonna be an essence of that is the same. And so that's why we're really wanting to also go back to those basics. It's not only the basics of how you desire to feel on a moment-to-moment basis, just to summarize that a little bit more and add some more points to it. It's also going back to the basics of what you wanted more of in your life that ignited the desire to deep dive more into self. So if you think back then, what was it? What were those friction points? Now, some of those friction points and what you came up with as far as what you desired to implement more into your life are likely quite similar. If I look at, I may have used different words for it back at that point. I wanted simplicity, but it was simplicity in my thoughts, in my mind, in my moment-to-moment life. One of my big things was about just making sure I was on top of the household and my washing was up to date and things. That was one of my biggest goals at that point. So I wanted the outskirts to support me to be the best version of self. So those things still exist. It's just that it expands slightly differently and becomes like there's a different element, a different layer to it. So going back to the basics, you will likely find a lot of your answers, a lot of this, your core desired feelings are likely not the new. They've just got a new frequency around them because you get them and understand them more intrinsically. So this is what we're doing. This is all creating the foundation of ordinary joy. Now then, in our next class, we then spoke into building communities around that joy. Now, in building communities, please know a community can be 2 people. It can be 3 people. It's just being there with another. But where there's more of an intention of being together and it's around a something. It's not just we're going to catch up and we're going to just do blah. You actually almost give it a name. I've always given these things a name and things like that. But like where you give it a name and you give it a purpose and you know why you're coming together and what it's going to give for your life, how it's going to enhance your life. Now, with these communities, you will likely already have communities around you that you can tap into, or communities that are there waiting on the sideline, which you want to up level and go, you know what, let me add another element to this so that you can add more to it. Now, with this as well, you may have some communities where you only connect and come together once a year. I've got a number of those. And because there's an element that's there, it brings us together. So even when we converse outside of that time, there's something there that calls us together in that same frequency. So it's really, really, really important in order to anchor your joy in, to connect with the external world outside of just self, outside of just your immediate sector here, to connect with them and build something. Because after all, we're here to create relationships, to learn. And where do we learn the most? We learn the most in relationships, not just sitting on our own on the top of a mountain or inside a room just writing. Yeah, and there's a time and place for that. But life is where the elements come to life even more. Now, class 3 was coming to that learning and understanding that your joyful and blissful moments in that ordinariness is actually your true essence coming to life, shining out. Your essence. If you think of those blissful moments, the moments where you found and uncovered that ordinary joy, how would it feel to increase the number of moments like that? The ones that take, like, say, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, a minute, doesn't matter. But that blissful moment, imagine tenfolding that. I mean, the reality is it would be pretty easy if you set that intention, because all it is about opening yourself to see more, feel more, ground in more of those blissful moments and the seeing of them. And that brings us to today and a, a play on how we are going to uplift, increase, create the foundation of ordinary joy as part of the normality of your life. And so there is another thing that I did want to actually bring in. I'm just looking at my notes here, and it's something I didn't point out. Now, when we talk about ordinary joy and the blissful moment as being your essence, your true essence, the natural you that shines bright, is your purpose. Is your purpose. Be in that state. Your purpose chases you. Your reason for being is chasing you. Ordinary joy, being in that blissful moment, even in amongst the chaos, in amongst the friction points, because it's still there whilst inside the friction, whilst inside the pain. And I'll give you an example in the moment for me the other day. You are more in present time. So what happens if more of you is in present time? You hear, you know, you see, you sense the tapping on the shoulder, the inspiration of bringing your purpose further out into life and actually living it. Your purpose in life is how you be and how you show up in this world. The creations will come from that space. It doesn't go creation and then I'm going to be the frequency. No. It's be the frequency. The creations will come and they will become and come so much easier. Even if I just look at some of the projects that I've started this week since deep diving through this topic myself, like there are things that have been on my mind which I've been trying to action and do for so long, and then stuff has just landed in my lap, and it's just like, oh, well, this will just be done, and it's wonderful. Yeah, it's wonderful. So please remember this. Don't underestimate the power, the impact that this can bring to your whole of life, to your relationships, to how you show up for your children if you have children, for your parents, for your families, for your friendships, for your communities, for your mission, for your inner child, for your healing. This is all about being here in present time. The more you are in present time, from a space of bliss, regardless of what is here and showing up in your life, you can't help but continuously rise, upgrade, grow, become, evolve, expand, all of those things. So an example of ordinary joy and bliss within pain. The other day I had, well, it wasn't expected to be, but quite a dental procedure where they cut into my gum, like sort of where two teeth were. They did a bone graft. They needed to scrape around. They needed to lift the gum and through the gum. And I've got 2 layers of stitches. And I sat there and I was like, okay, well, thank you for the opportunity to experience bliss right now. And you know what? I did. I was in such gratitude that the dentist that I had was so skilled and so caring for doing the best thing for me. I was grateful for that moment to be there, knowing that there was nowhere else for me to be right now. My mouth was open with that plasticky thing, and I just relaxed and I just tuned into my essence. And her response afterwards was, I've never seen someone so still for this procedure, for an hour of going through that. And so you can still do it no matter where you are, and no matter what is going on. Life evolves through this now moment, through the present time. And the more of yourself that you are able to be in present time and call into present time, moving through different things like that, your entire language of expression is going to evolve and change. So now going into the lesson for today, of which it's actually, it's not going to be a long one because this is just going to make so much sense to you and it's easy to explain. Your practice is on it is going to be the part that takes more effort, focus, concentration, contemplation, and all of those things. And that is, we're going to bring our senses and we're going to uplift them to actually locate more joy and bliss around us. And you're going to look for freshness through your eyes, listen with freshness, touch with freshness, smell with freshness, taste with freshness. But we're going to start with just using the physical senses. We're not talking listening through your sonic senses at the moment. We're not talking seeing through our third eye and seeing the, like, do you know what I mean? We are actually talking about looking through the eyes. I really want to bring this first into the physical plane first. We can evolve to that. You're going to naturally do that anyway, because many people will do naturally go, okay, but I see the flow, I see the colors, see the bliss, see the tingles, etc., etc. We're going to bring our physical senses into play. And what you may choose to do is choose one sense a day. You can choose, okay, today I'm going to focus on what I see and like what I see around, and where can I find the bliss? Where can I see the joy? Where can I see that essence of purity? And look at what it's reflecting back to you. For example, again, I used this glass the other day, and it's just like looking at the water, looking at the purity of the water, and allowing the purity of that water, and feeling the gratitude and being humble with the water for just seeing it from a fresh perspective from this new now moment. You can perhaps add the 5-second purity pause prior to it so that you see from a new sense. But even going into, say, perhaps a journal and going, okay, put your hand over it, drop into a 5-second purity pause, and then choose to see with freshness and locate the new that bounces off the page and reflects back to you. This is about seeing through the now, through this very now, through the present time, all here, all now. Now, it's the same thing through listening. So you're going to listen to different frequencies. So you may choose to do it in a different order. You may choose to use touch, because touch, like the seeing is probably an easier one for all of those here. But the touch is going to be something where you like sort of maybe even feel as though touch is your way to read, like you're reading Braille. This happens to have like sort of, I can feel the raising of the tree here. You know, maybe it is touch, and that you feel the different textures. You tune into the different textures. Same thing with eating. When you're eating, take radically smaller bites. So for example, for me, because I've got some things going on here, the bites that I need to take are a lot smaller. I've sensed more in the food. Now I know we all go through stages of, okay, let's do mindful eating and da 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 da, la 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 la, and all of that. But what we're doing now, we're now actually bringing it more from a, not to go to slow ourselves down, but to actually locate more of the joy in that process, the joy of the food that's on your plate, what went into creating it, the difference in the textures. And it will slow you down also, from what I've noticed, because I've been doing this, this month just as preparation for here. So I've also got examples. It's actually changed what I'm choosing to eat, and also the amount. It's as a result changed how we're preparing food, what we're shopping for, and the different types of meals that we're creating. We've had more different meals over the last 2 weeks than we have in a very long time, even though we are continuously exploring. Now, smell and hearing, they're the ones where it's like it will take that extra focus, because it's like you're going about your normality of the day. Do you know what I mean? So like it's easy maybe when you arrive somewhere to go, okay, now let's tune into the smell. So each time you arrive somewhere new, you know, when you're outside and things like that, there is quite easy. But if you can start tuning into then your smell inside your home, you will locate new things to do within your home. For example, there might be an extra door that you want to open. You might smell, like, say, a rug that requires cleaning. And I know it sounds odd, but like they're the things we want to tune into, because the uplifting our senses our physical senses will turn them into sonic senses, because remember, this will put it into our background awareness. Everything that we do, the intention within you now is that these will continually build within our background awareness. So once you've done this for a period of time, and it is an automatic thing, which is what we're looking to create, it is an automatic thing. It will happen naturally within your background awareness. And then you just tune into it every now and then. The hearing is where we did the manifestation bingo. Now, that may be what helps activate more of your hearing from this sense. If you were to start playing it again at the start of the day within the home, this is what I do. I'm finding once that has been playing within an environment, my hearing, I hear differently. So that could be a nice way to play with that. So our practice at the moment is to bring freshness, where's my cursor, is amplify ordinary joy through your senses. So basically, now that you're cultivating joy, naturally, while you're looking around and we've got these different practices, what we want to do is we want your senses to experience life in a fresh way. So we're adding freshness to our senses. And again, don't underestimate the simplicity of this and the profoundness of what it will gift you in life. So this lesson, is all about bringing freshness to our senses and creating a foundation of ordinary joy. A foundation. Our senses are part of our foundation. They are part of our structure. So by amplifying those physical senses, we will create more of the depth of foundation of ordinary joy.